Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it's been over a week since Sunken City has come out, and I feel like it's time to start giving craft recommendations, what the safe epics and legendaries are to craft from the latest expansion. If you've been holding up, we've been looking at the numbers, I've been looking at the decks that they've been performing, and I'll give you my most safe recommendations for crafting epics and legendaries. Of course, I'll give warnings and all of that it's at your own risk, as well. For each card, I'll say that maybe something might get nerfed or something might affect it. And just a reminder as well, we're on the road to 50,000 subscribers. We are nearing it, and every 1,000 subscribers we are going to do a giveaway, and we are almost at 47,000. So if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. We're going to be doing a big giveaway. I guess I'll probably announce it tomorrow because I think we'll hit it by tomorrow. But regardless, road to 50K is official, and every 1,000 subs until then, we're doing a big giveaway. So what are the safest epics and legendaries to craft from Voyage to the Sunken City? We're going to go class by class and basically go over what I feel is relatively safe. And starting with Demon Hunter, Lady Astheno has proven to be a very solid card in basically every Demon Hunter deck you want to play, whether it's in an aggro DH where you get some extra damage with some spells, or just Fell Demon Hunter, helping you control the board and do incredible stuff. If you want to play Demon Hunter, Lady Astheno seems like an absolute kind of auto-include in multiple decks right now. The other card I could recommend if you're playing more of a slow, like Fell Demon Hunter stuff, you want to play those type of decks, slower decks, this is not great in aggressive decks, is Wayward Sage, the 2-mana 2/2 epic outcast. Reduce the cost of the left and rightmost cards in your hand by 1. Just really good at setting up like a cheap Jace, a cheap Bran, whatever you want. It's free mana. It can set up some pretty good turns, but overall, again, this is only if you're into those like mid-range or combo style decks. Ironically, for Druid, I don't have any recommendations as all the great cards are commons and rares. However, Hunter has one card that is definitely worth crafting legendary-wise if you want to play it, and that is Raz Nazjan, which can go into Face Hunter, can go into Quest Hunter, and it's just incredible burst option for those decks. Again, you're only going to want to craft this if you're playing the Naga Face Hunter, you're playing Quest Hunter, those type of style of decks. Other than that, you probably don't want to bother, but the numbers have been extremely good for this card so far. For Mage, I have 2 recommendations. Spite Lash Siren is the core card, an incredible mana cheat engine for Naga Mage, which is an incredibly fun deck to play in Standard, however, very difficult to play. It's known for its steep learning curve, and also just it's just a fragile deck. However, if you want to try and master Naga Mage, or just craft a really fun deck, Spite Lash Siren is a great card to add to your collection. And if there's ever a card that's going to get nerfed in that deck, it would likely be Spite Lash Siren, which again would really lead to your dust coming back. And the other craft recommendation has to be Gaia the Tectonic, although maybe too slow and wild for certain builds. In Standard, this colossal legendary is absolutely incredible in Mech Mage, and I could see it putting into like more mid-range Reno style decks as the expansion cycle goes on, as the year goes on, as it's just kind of like a mini board clear in itself, as well as a threat. I don't think you can go wrong crafting either of these cards if you really enjoy playing Mage. Paladin will start off with Radar Detector, incredible and wild, pretty good in Standard. Mech Paladin's done some good work. It's 2 mana, potentially draw 5 cards, and especially if you've put a card at the bottom of your deck, say the Sunken Mech card, that can be a good thing to get out of the bottom, as well as you reshuffle your deck. Just very powerful, auto-include in basically every Mech deck going forward, and if you're a fan of that, you'll want to craft that, as well as you have to recommend the Leviathan. This is one of the most auto-craft cards in the entire expansion. This goes into any Paladin deck, period. It is incredible. You don't even need to play other mechs. It dredges, it draws a card, it's 8 attack with a Divine Shield Rush, incredibly solid. If you're playing Paladin, you want this card in your collection. It is just that good. And I'll put an honorable mention to the Garden's Grace, which is seeing play in like Control Paladins. It's used mainly as a finisher for a lot of these decks, where you put it on a Mr. Smite or just on a minion on the board that's rather large and kill your opponent. But it's more for that Control Paladin variant that runs like Immortalize in the Stone to get it out for relatively cheap. But this card is seeing play and doing quite a good job. Priest, I'm not going to make any big recommendations for epics or legendaries. I will throw out that Priestess is very interesting in those like scammy style of decks. However, I wouldn't go out of my way to craft any of this. The best card is Switcheroo, which is a common, and the rest are just not really seeing much play. For Rogue, it's basically the pirate package. If you want to play pirate Rogue, you're going to want to craft some of these epics and legendaries. Outside of one card that I think is just auto craft for Rogue, Rarran Vessel. Again, if you're playing pirate Rogue, you want this. It's a 5-mana 6/6 or a 3-mana 6/6, depending if you have a prep. You can cheat it out with a dredge card, and then you have another 6/6 that draws a card. Really solid in pirate Rogue. Same with Bootstrap Buccaneer, although Sunkeneer, but I can see this going into other decks in the future because it's just good on its own. It doesn't need to have the pirate tag to be good. It's like a Vile Spine that, you know, a better Vile Spine, which is an incredible card. Krakatoa is just auto-include in any tempo, mid-range, aggro rogue deck. It is so good. It fights for board. It pushes damage. You will not regret crafting that if you want to play Rogue. And I'll throw an honorable mention to Pirate Admiral Hook Tusk. This card's a very good finisher for those like mid-range pirate decks. It's just a little slow for the aggro variants, but still, it's a consideration, and I don't think you'll regret it, especially if you saw my clip of sealing the pirate quest. That was pretty freaking sweet. For Shaman, the only one I will truly recommend is Bioluminescence. If you want to play that finisher, that burn Shaman deck, you really need Bioluminescence. You can also play this in Wild in like a Frog Drekthar deck. It's pretty good. But overall, I can't recommend Radiance of Ajara or Glug the Gulper. They're seeing play, they're doing well, but I think they're just not at that level where I could say like, oh, you gotta craft it. Whereas Bioluminescence, if you really like that burn archetype, it is really good. Warlock's really underperforming in both standard and wild. I will say the standout card, if you really want to try and make Murloc Warlock work, Chumbucket's the best card in the deck, but I can't really recommend crafting it. The other epics that are kind of like out there, like the Abyssal Curse decks are not working, so like Zakul, Abyssal Wave, not really worth it, and Gigathin, again, not really making the cut quite yet, but I do anticipate this card will get better as time goes on. But for now, there's really not much I can recommend from Warlock. With Warrior, kind of the same thing with the epics and legendaries, but the main one that I absolutely do have to recommend is Nelly the Great Thresher. You can play this in Pirate Warrior, you can play this in like a Control Warrior as its own win condition, because you're so likely to get Mr. Smite off of it. This is kind of the auto craft legendary in for Warrior. It's the only card. All the other epics and legendaries I can't really recommend for Warrior, but Nelly is absolutely ridiculously good. And then when you look at the neutrals, what are the epics, what are the legendaries you want? Sir Finley is actually not seeing a lot of play. I wouldn't even recommend him at the moment. Amalgam of the Deep is probably the safest craft of the expansion. Goes into any tribal deck. It is 2 mana, premium stats, discover another card of that tribe. Incredibly good. You will not regret crafting that card, I can tell you that much. Smothering Starfish is a consideration if you really hate Snowfall Guardian, you really like silencing stuff, but other than that, it's not slotting into a lot other than like the ramp druid right now, but that's more of a tech option, so not something you want to go too gung-ho over. I will recommend School Teacher, however, huge asterisk on this. Before you craft School Teacher, be aware, you will get a free golden copy on the rewards track, I believe in like the 70s, 60s levels, so if you want to hold off, you don't have this card and you're thinking about crafting it, you might just want to wait. If you look at the rewards track, level 65 you'll get 1 School Teacher, and then at level 75 you get another copy. So I'm just going to throw that out there. It is an absolute auto safe craft of an epic. It is an incredibly good card. However, you're going to get it for free, so if you can wait, I highly recommend waiting. Queen Ajara is another legendary that I can safely recommend. She is going into druid decks, mage decks, a ton of different variants. Really cool card, seen play in Wild. She's that impactful. Getting to recast a Time Warp can be good, but getting a 1 mana Colossal is ridiculous. Just cycling cheap spells can be strong. Basically everything she does, even the damage weapon, can be great in burn decks. She is really good, a lot of fun, and I definitely think she is safe to craft. And the last one I will suggest is Naga Giant. Maybe if Ramp Druid gets nerfed, which it could be any day now. We're waiting, Blizzard, where are the balance changes? However, I think it'll slot into other decks as well, but be aware, this seems to be be more of a druid card at the moment. Hasn't seen a ton of play in the other classes, so keep that in mind. And those are my recommendations for the legendaries and epics from Voyage to the Sunken City that I think are relatively safe to craft. Again, you never know when you're crafting, so please be aware of that. And if you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.